There was a time when the warnings were nothing more than whispers in the wind, ignored, mocked, ridiculed. The chosen ones saw the signs, felt the energy shifts, and knew that a great reckoning was coming. But instead of being heard, they were laughed at, dismissed as conspiracy theorists, or labeled as crazy. Now, the tables have turned. The same people who once scoffed at prophecy and intuition are the ones drowning in fear. Their illusions are crumbling, their foundations are shaking, and their so-called stable lives are spiraling into chaos. The chosen ones knew this day would come. They saw the collapse before it began. They warned about the spiritual battle, the shifting timelines, and the great unveiling. Yet, the world chose comfort over truth, until comfort was ripped away. One by one, those who denied the signs are falling. Their wealth can't save them, their status can't protect them, and their distractions no longer work. The universe is forcing humanity to wake up, but for many, it's already too late. So, the question remains, were you one of the ones who listened? Or are you just now realizing that everything is unfolding exactly as it was foretold? Are you ready for what's unfolding? Comment. I am ready to affirm your place in this divine shift. But before we dive in, I have a small request. As this is my new channel, my videos have been facing challenges in reaching those who need this wisdom. If you find value in this message and want to support its growth, please take a moment to like, share, and subscribe. The fall of false leaders and illusions is happening before our eyes. Those who built their power on deception, control, and manipulation are now losing everything. It's as if a great wind has come, sweeping away the castles made of sand. For years, these figures, whether in government, media, or entertainment, crafted illusions so powerful that people mistook them for reality. They played the role of gatekeepers, dictating what was true and what was false, who was worthy and who was not. But now, the cracks in their foundation are growing wider. Their carefully woven narratives are unraveling, and their once loyal followers are starting to see the truth. At one time, these leaders were untouchable, standing on pedestals so high that they seemed beyond the reach of ordinary people. But those pedestals were never made of stone. They were built on lies, deceit, and manipulation. And when something is built on a weak foundation, it can only stand for so long. Now the very people who once trusted them are waking up in shock, realizing they were led astray. It's like a grand stage performance where the curtains have suddenly fallen, revealing not powerful figures, but desperate individuals scrambling to hold on to control. The chosen ones always saw through the illusion. They sensed the deception long before it became obvious to the masses. They tried to warn people, but their voices were drowned out by laughter, ridicule, and disbelief. The world was under a spell, one that made it easier to accept comforting lies than uncomfortable truths. But the energy is shifting, and what was once hidden is now being revealed. Leaders who thrived on deceit are now being exposed in front of the world. Their words no longer hold power. Their influence is fading, and their once loyal supporters are turning away from them. In every industry, from politics to entertainment, the fall is evident. Those who once dictated what people should believe are struggling to maintain their grip. They desperately attempt to cover their tracks, to silence those who question them. But it's too late. The truth has already begun to spread. The same systems that propped them up are now turning against them. It's like watching a powerful ship take on water. At first it seems invincible, but then the weight of its own corruption drags it down into the depths. And now, the chosen ones, who were mocked and ignored for so long, are the ones being sought out. Their wisdom, once dismissed as nonsense, is now the light that many are searching for. Those who once laughed at them are now asking for guidance. The balance is shifting, and the world is beginning to realize that what was once seen as weakness was actually strength. The illusions are crumbling, and what remains is the undeniable truth. The fall of these false leaders is not just a change in power, it is a transformation of consciousness, and there is no stopping it now. The energy shift is intensifying, shaking the very core of those who are unprepared. The frequency of the planet is rising, and for those who have resisted this change, the effects are becoming undeniable. Some are feeling it as overwhelming exhaustion, as if an unseen weight is pressing down on them. Others are experiencing unexplained physical ailments, waves of dizziness, headaches, or an unshakable sense of restlessness. Emotional turmoil is at an all-time high. Sudden bursts of anger, deep sadness, or an unexplainable sense of anxiety. It's as if the body and mind are trying to process something far greater than they were ever taught to understand. For those who have spent their lives chasing material success, external validation, and surface-level distractions, this shift is hitting the hardest. The things that once brought them comfort no longer seem to work. The endless cycle of consumption, buying more, achieving more, showing off more, is failing to fill the void. Social approval, once the greatest source of confidence, now feels hollow. The validation they used to receive from others no longer carries the same weight. Something is missing, but they cannot grasp what it is. The energy is forcing them to confront their own emptiness, and without the tools to navigate this transformation, many are falling into despair. On the other hand, the chosen ones, those who have spent years preparing for this shift, are finding themselves more stable in the storm. They have already done the deep inner work, released attachments to the material world, and strengthened their connection to higher consciousness. While the world around them feels chaotic, they are standing firm, grounded in the understanding that this transformation was always meant to happen. They are not fighting against the shift, but flowing with it, allowing the energy to guide them rather than resisting its pull. For those resisting change, the pressure is mounting. Relationships that were once built on shallow connections are crumbling. People who once thrived on external distractions are struggling to find meaning. The habits and coping mechanisms that once helped them escape are no longer effective. The very foundation they built their lives upon is shaking, forcing them to either evolve or collapse under the weight of their own resistance. The energy is relentless, pushing everyone to a breaking point where they must choose, continue clinging to the old ways, or surrender to the shift and embrace transformation. This shift is not something that can be ignored or postponed. It is not a passing phase, nor is it something that will return to normal. The frequencies will only continue to rise, and those who resist will find it harder and harder to function in a world that no longer supports the old ways of being. The chosen ones knew this moment would come, and now, as the shift intensifies, they are moving through it with clarity, while others are struggling to keep their footing in a reality that is no longer stable. Betrayal is now unfolding in ways that many never expected. Those who once ridiculed, mocked, or dismissed the chosen ones are finding themselves surrounded by the very energy they projected. Friends who once stood by them are now turning their backs, revealing hidden agendas and long-held resentment. Business partnerships, once built on mutual benefits, are crumbling under the weight of deception and greed. The people who once seemed untouchable, who walked with confidence and power, are now watching their carefully constructed worlds collapse. The energy they sent out is returning to them like a mirror, exposing their true nature in ways they can no longer ignore. The chosen ones, who faced years of ridicule and abandonment, always knew this time would come. They warned of the shifting tides, but their words fell on deaf ears. Now the very people who laughed at them are experiencing what it feels like to be cast aside. Betrayal is no longer something that happens in the shadows. It is happening in broad daylight. Friends and family members, once loyal, are revealing their true selves. Words spoken behind closed doors are coming to the surface. Those who thrived on manipulation and control are watching their influence slip away. For some, the betrayal is financial. Business empires that once seemed unshakable are collapsing overnight. Leaders who built their success on corruption and deceit are being exposed, their secrets unraveling for the world to see. Money, once their greatest weapon, is now turning into a source of stress and instability. Partnerships built on greed are falling apart, as those involved begin to turn on each other in an attempt to survive. There is no more room for illusions. Only truth remains, and it is hitting hard. For others, the betrayal is personal. Relationships that were based on lies are now dissolving, revealing the cracks that were always there. People who once wore masks of love and loyalty can no longer hide their true intentions. The ones who played games, who used others for personal gain, are now finding themselves alone. The energy shift is exposing everything, stripping away facades, leaving only the raw truth behind. Those who once held power through deception are now powerless as their web of control unravels. No one can escape this cycle. Every action, every intention, every hidden betrayal is now being returned in full force. Some are watching their lives fall apart and wondering why, unable to connect the dots between their past actions and their current suffering. Others are beginning to understand, realizing too late that the very pain they caused is now their own to bear. There is no escaping this reckoning. It is not about punishment. It is simply the return of energy, the balancing of the scales. What was once hidden is now in the open, and the truth can no longer be ignored. For years, people placed their trust in technology, believing it would make their lives easier, more efficient, and even more meaningful. AI was praised as the future, a force that would revolutionize every aspect of existence. Social media promised connection, algorithms claimed to understand human desires, and automation was hailed as the answer to hard labor. The masses relied on these tools without question, surrendering their attention, privacy, and even their ability to think independently. They believed technology was under their control until they realized it wasn't. Now the very systems that were supposed to serve humanity are turning against them. AI is not just assisting in workplaces, it is replacing workers entirely. The same companies that once promoted innovation are now discarding employees in favor of machines that do not ask for wages, benefits, or rest. People who spent years mastering their craft now find themselves obsolete overnight. The illusion of security has shattered, and many are left scrambling to find their place in a world where technology no longer serves them, but dominates them. Beyond the job market, data has become a weapon. Personal information, once shared freely across social media and online platforms, is now being used against the very people who provided it. Algorithms no longer just suggest content. They shape opinions, control narratives, and dictate what is seen and what is hidden. What people believe to be their own thoughts are, in many cases, carefully placed suggestions designed to manipulate emotions and choices. Reality is no longer organic, but engineered. leaving many disoriented, unable to distinguish truth from deception. Social media, which was meant to bring people together, has created more division than unity. The illusion of freedom on these platforms is vanishing as censorship rises and only certain voices are allowed to be heard. People are waking up to the fact that they have been nothing more than pawns in a system that thrives on distraction and control. Likes, shares, and viral trends were never about expression. They were about conditioning, keeping people addicted to external validation, while their personal freedoms quietly slipped away. The chosen ones never placed their faith in artificial intelligence or digital constructs. They knew true power could never be found in something created by human hands. They saw beyond the illusion, understanding that anything external, especially something designed for control, could never replace the strength that comes from within. While others surrendered their minds to the machines, the chosen ones remained grounded in their own wisdom, trusting their intuition over the ever-changing digital landscape. Now, as the failures of technology become undeniable, the world is beginning to see the consequences of blind reliance. AI does not bring wisdom, social media does not create true connection, and algorithms do not offer freedom. The masses are waking up, but for many, it is too late. The chosen ones, however, never needed technology to guide them. They always knew the real answers were within. The earth is no longer the same. It shakes, burns, and roars in ways that cannot be ignored. Earthquakes are hitting regions that once felt stable, splitting the ground beneath people's feet. Volcanoes that were dormant for centuries are now waking up, sending plumes of fire and smoke into the sky. Storms are becoming more violent, floods are swallowing entire cities, and heat waves are scorching lands that were once mild. These are not isolated events. They are part of something much bigger. For years, the chosen ones warned that the planet was shifting, that an energetic transformation was underway. They spoke of an increase in solar storms, disturbances in the Earth's magnetic field, and an acceleration of natural disasters. They saw the signs long before they became undeniable, but their words were dismissed as paranoia or superstition. Now the evidence is everywhere. Even those who once mocked the idea of energetic shifts are starting to question what is happening. Science and logic no longer offer comfort when the sky turns red, the oceans rise, and the very air feels charged with something unexplainable. Solar storms are growing stronger, disrupting communication systems and causing power outages. The sun is more active than ever, releasing waves of energy that affect not just technology, but human consciousness itself. Many feel restless, anxious, or overwhelmed, yet they cannot explain why. The chosen ones understand. These solar flares are not just physical events. They are awakenings. They shake the very fabric of reality, exposing hidden truths and forcing people to confront what they have ignored for too long. Meanwhile, the weather is no longer predictable. Seasons are blending, storms arrive without warning, and nature itself seems unsettled. Animals are behaving strangely, migrating in unexpected patterns or disappearing altogether. The earth is responding to something greater, something beyond human control. The chosen ones have always known that nature is deeply connected to the shifts in energy, and now the rest of the world is starting to see it too. But these disasters are not just destruction. They are a reckoning. They reveal the fragility of a world built on illusion. People who once felt secure in their routines now find themselves at the mercy of forces far greater than any government, technology, or structure they trusted. Their carefully planned lives are disrupted in an instant, and they are left with only one question: what now? The chosen ones do not fear these changes, for they have always been prepared. They knew the transformation would come not as a gentle whisper, but as a roaring storm. While the world panics and scrambles for answers, they stand firm, knowing this is not the end. It is only the beginning. Panic is spreading like wildfire. Those who once ignored the warnings are now realizing that something is terribly wrong. The ground beneath their feet is no longer stable, physically, mentally, and emotionally. Their reality is crumbling, and they don't know how to handle it. For years, they dismissed spiritual wisdom, laughed at those who spoke of higher awareness, and placed their trust in material things. Now those same things are failing them. The systems they relied on, money, technology, government, and even their own limited understanding, are proving to be powerless against the changes unfolding around them. Fear has taken over their minds. Many feel lost, confused, and desperate for guidance, but they don't know where to turn. They search for quick fixes. Some try to drown their anxiety in distractions. Others look to the very systems that deceived them for answers. But no solution seems to last. The more they fight against the shift, the more unstable they become. Anxiety tightens its grip, and some are on the verge of complete breakdowns. They see the chaos growing around them, and for the first time, they are questioning everything. They are beginning to realize that the chosen ones were right all along. The ones they mocked, ignored, or abandoned now hold the wisdom they desperately need. But not everyone can be saved. Some still cling to their illusions, refusing to admit they were wrong. Others seek help, but they want easy answers without putting in the inner work. They want a shortcut to peace, but true transformation does not come without effort. The chosen ones understand this, and they do not waste their energy on those who refuse to listen with an open heart. Still, there are a few who are willing to wake up. They approach with humility, ready to learn and change. They sense that this is their last chance to shift their path before it's too late. The chosen ones can guide them, but only if they are truly ready to release their fear, question everything they once believed, and embrace the unknown. There is no room for ego or pride in this transformation. Only those willing to surrender to the truth will find their way forward. The panic will continue to rise, and for many, it will be too late. They ignored every warning, resisted every opportunity to prepare, and now they are drowning in the energy they refused to acknowledge. The chosen ones do not gloat or seek revenge. They simply watch as the consequences unfold. They have always known that not everyone would make it through this shift, but they remain steady, standing as beacons for those who are ready, for those who truly want to awaken before it is too late. The era of silence has ended. The chosen ones, who were once mocked, ignored, and cast aside, are stepping into their roles as the new leaders of this shifting world. They are not leading with force or control, but with wisdom, intuition, and an inner strength that cannot be shaken. While the old world operated on manipulation, fear, and illusion, the new world requires a different kind of leadership, one built on truth, awareness, and alignment with the higher forces of the universe. For years, the chosen ones spoke of the coming changes, warning those around them to prepare. They were called crazy, accused of being out of touch with reality, and ridiculed for believing in something beyond the physical world. But as everything they predicted begins to unfold, the laughter has stopped. The very people who dismissed them are now looking for guidance, searching for answers to questions they never thought they would ask. But the real question is, will they truly listen this time, or are they only seeking comfort in their fear? The shift in power is undeniable. Those who once controlled the narrative, politicians, media figures, celebrities, and so-called experts, are being exposed for their deception. Their influence is fading because their foundation was built on lies. The masses who blindly followed them are beginning to realize that these figures never had their best interests at heart. Now, their voices carry no weight, and their authority is crumbling. Meanwhile, the chosen ones, who have been preparing in the background, are emerging as the only ones with clarity, foresight, and true understanding. But this rise is not about personal glory or revenge. The chosen ones do not seek validation from those who once ridiculed them. They do not need approval or applause. They are stepping forward because their mission requires it. The world is changing, and those who are willing to awaken need guidance. This is not about power in the traditional sense. It is about standing in truth, while others are drowning in lies. It is about lighting the way for those who are ready, while accepting that not everyone will choose to see. As the tables turn, many will come searching for answers, but not all will be prepared to accept the truth. Some will listen with open hearts, ready to embrace a new way of thinking and being. Others will resist, still clinging to the old systems and illusions that are collapsing before their eyes. The chosen ones are not here to force anyone to wake up. They simply stand as pillars of truth, offering wisdom to those who are ready and allowing those who are not to face the consequences of their own choices. The moment has arrived. The chosen ones are no longer hidden, no longer silenced. They are rising, not because they seek recognition, but because the universe has called them to lead in this time of great transformation. And this time, their voices will not be ignored.